This is the call to order to the Amherst County Service Authority Board meeting. Let the record reflect it is May 4th, 2021, and it is 1:30 p.m. We got a section called Citizen Comments. Are there any citizens here today wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close citizen comments, and we'll go to the approval of the agenda. I think there are some changes that need to be made. I believe we do not need the closed session under section 9. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. Me and Mr. Martin will go ahead and speak with you.
Can I ask a question? So if it's just two of us doing it, do we still need to enter into a closed session, or?
No.
Okay.
Because you don't constitute a majority.
Okay.
Okay, that answers that. So I will make a motion that we get rid of the closed session and we approve the agenda with the so noted changes. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to the approval of the minutes. Are there any changes that need to be made or anything that you all saw during your preparation for the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to divide the motion when it's made. If we can do it separately between A and B, I'd like to abstain from item B as I was not here.
Certainly. So we'll go ahead and ask for approval for the minutes from March 22nd, 2021. Everyone please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll go ahead and approve the minutes of 2021. I know that Mr. Perro will abstain from this vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go on to the monthly finance report. Mr. Hopkins,
Hello,
the
everybody.
floor is yours.
That's so fast, I gotta get caught up.
Oh, well, it wasn't much above you there, so.
Okay. Okay, we slowed down a little bit in the month of March, but not very much. We're still starting out like a lion, as I've reported the last two meetings. In the water department, sales, we are just under $189,000, or over 27% ahead compared to the same period of 2020. Total revenues, just under $183,500, or 23.35% better than 2020. And connections are down a little bit, but we've got a bunch of new that have come up in the last month, so we should pick that up next month. Wastewater sales were up over $34,000 compared to 2020. That's better than a 17% increase. Total revenues, more than $18,000 ahead. That's an 8% increase compared to 2020. And the difference is of tap fees. We had more tap fees the first 3 months of 2020 than we have in 2021. But we're still doing very well. Water and wastewater combined sales, better than $223,000 ahead, almost 25% compared to 2020. Total revenues, better than $201,000 compared to 2020, which is almost 20% better. So again, we slowed a little bit from what I reported in January and February, but still starting out very strongly. A quarter through 2021, the new water service connections are already a third of the total for each of the last 5 years. And the new wastewater connections are starting slow, but that's normal for winter, but we have had several in the last month or so.
This report is good news. Seeing those numbers certainly will help us in making decisions and hopefully keep the rates down on our customers, but I think it's a great sign and good news. So, any other comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to old business. This would be the director's report.
Yes, sir. Okay. Not a lot of changes with the James River Bank Stabilization Project. I'm still reviewing the base sheet that Hurt and Profit did from their survey, getting comments back to Hurt and Profit on their preliminary design. I'm trying to work with Representative Klein's office on an earmark of budgeted money for the project. I haven't been able to get the person that I'm talking to respond, but I will keep trying to get with her and see if we can't get some money for that work. Under Section B, the Woodview Drive water main replacement, we've resumed we're working to get easements. I've got pledges from almost half of the people out there that live on the road to give us an easement for a new water main in their front yards to replace the existing line. Similarly, on the Lakeview Drive Steward project, we've resumed easements, acquisitions, and I've got about half of those. So both of those projects I'm hoping we can do this year, starting in the spring. The Woody's Lake Road project, that has finally been closed out. I've got, not completely, I've got one more reimbursement request to go into VDOT for about $267,000, and then we will be able to close out that project. The total that VDOT paid us to do or subsidize, reimbursed us for work that we did that really should have been, ordinarily it would be our cost, probably about 10 years from now. But VDOT gave us over $1.1 million to do that work. The VC Mobile Home Park water supply maintenance, the General Assembly has approved the budget, and my understanding that unless the governor comes back with a specific request that the budget amendment that Delegate Walker put in get removed from the budget, then that money will be available to us July 1st. I'm working with Chris Feraldi in his office right now, and Chris has said as soon as he's going to let me know when the money is available and work with me on a procedure and process for getting it and how we can spend it. So I'll be reporting back to you all on that in the future. I'm hoping the additional it's for $250,000, not the $100,000 we originally requested. And I'm hoping that we're going to get okay to use the additional $150,000 to replace the old water lines all the way down to the trailer park and all the way over to Lower Rapidan, rather than us having to be maintaining and operating lines that are 60 years old, which is the pain. Let's see. Grand Creek Reservoir Dam projects, dam improvements project, still working with Hurt and Profit. They're still working on their design. I'm working with them on on review and edits. The Westfale Court Sanitary Sewer Extension, we'll be talking about that in new business with the Service Authority Developer Agreement that Mr. Martin requested and the board directed me to try to get, working with Mr. Lockaby and Mr. Popovich. So that will come up in new business. And also since the last board meeting, there's another development that has come in with a concept plan immediately north of this. And I'm already talking to the developer there about revising the proposed sanitary sewer extension for this Westfale Court site. I'm thinking, and they've already given me a tentative okay, but I'm thinking we can cut the length of that sewer by about 75% by not following. I think there's we'll talk about it when we get there. But there's a way we can, instead of running the sewer along the full length of the Westfale Court property, we can just run it from where we need it on that property directly to an existing sewer we have on the property to the north, and that should save us about 75% in costs. But we'll talk about that in a bit. The Business Friendliness Initiative, I emailed you all the rates and fees benchmarking study this past Saturday, and that's for your all's review, and I know it's a lot to digest very quickly, and it's not anything that you all need to approve, but if you all want to come back with any questions, or if you have any questions or comments today, or if you want to come back in future board meetings with questions or comments, then we can address them then. And priorities 1B and 1C, we'll be talking about that in new business. These are the proposed code changes that we've been talking about the last few board meetings. Section D, COVID-19, the second phase of the Municipal Utility Relief Program. We got another grant for just under $6,100 for customer account arrearages. And I've prepared a public service announcement, and I think the attachment is in here for y'all's review, and it should go out shortly. And we're sending it to 60 customers that are on installment payment plans right now. And it's not a lot of money, but I figured, $100 a piece is got to help. So we got that. And then actually, the proposed county code changes are in section E. And we've talked about these in the past. I sent them to you a couple weeks ago with the requested updates. And just want to know, is this something, are these three things satisfactory that I can go ahead and prepare a draft ordinance and get you all for approval at the June meeting? Or do you have more changes or anything else that you want to do with these things?
Board?
I just have a quick comment, if that's all right. I know we're going to talk about this later. I saw it later in the agenda, and then...
No, I'm sorry. No, this is it. This is where we're talking about it.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
This is it? Because
Yeah,
it's in section...
Section E of the director's report.
All right, it's in it's in new business, proposed county changes as well. All right, so, but in both sections, you use the same word that I object to. And I think I object to it because it's relative, it's non-specific, and I think it could be misconstrued. It's this easy, simple word, it's high. We don't have high availability fees, and we should not be worried about, I think we shouldn't classify or label our availability fees as high. I think we should be, if you want to put a number to it and say we'll divide availability fees once they hit a certain threshold, but others might find our availability fees to be quite low. So I don't want us to label ourselves inadvertently and then, as far as economic business friendliness goes, be seen as having high availability fees, because we don't.
Oh, and you're correct. Actually, I have talked to developers from outside this area, more regional developers in Charlotte and on the East Coast, Hampton Roads and in Northern Virginia, who, when I proposed, when they called me, let's say they were looking at doing business here, and they asked me what our fees were, and when I told them there was a long, each time, and these are different companies, there was a long silence, and all three said something along the lines of, I've got to do more business in Amherst County because your fees are almost non-existent.
So I would just recommend that we just drop the phrase high availability fees from our nomenclature. We have
Okay, yes.
availability fees, or availability fees over a certain amount can be distributed over time. Or
Okay,
however we do it.
I don't remember, is that actually?
It's not actually in the code, it's in, I can recall, but it's in your description
Okay.
of the code.
Oh, yeah, I see it here. I'm just not a big fan of number 3. We've never did this before. I don't know if any other localities did do it. I know there's a suggested minimum 30% initial payment of the total, but we just never did. It's the cost to do business. I mean, do you have any examples of other localities or other service authorities or water utilities doing this type of?
No, sir. Actually, you all asked me after the last meeting I brought it up to contact Campbell and Bedford, and both of them were emphatic that they do not do it. But I want to bring up what I brought up in the last year is that CCUSA gets all commercial and industrial availability fees paid by the county supervisors. They also get all new small business connection fees paid by the county supervisors. So CCUSA doesn't have to worry about this. Bedford County gets $1 million annually toward their debt service. So they don't need to worry about this. They're getting plenty of subsidies from the county supervisors that we do not get and cannot get. So and I talked with Victoria Hanson, the EDA director, this morning about this, and she and her board are pretty much on board with this also, is that we are at a competitive disadvantage. We've got to find some way to offset those subsidies. And this is, you all asked me, both in the business friendliness action items and when we talked about this about a year or so ago, you all asked me to come back and try to come up with some way to offset that, some way to do something with availability fees. This is what I've come up with. The last time I heard, Mr. Lockaby, I'm pretty sure, was also on board with this. I haven't heard any alternate suggestions from him. So.
Well, I would, and I think Mr. Martin may have alluded to this, but the EDA receives a substantial sum of money from the Board of Supervisors, and it's my understanding that one of the things they were supposed to do is work with you on such developments to give some of that money to the service authority to the business to pay some of these fees. Now, I may be wrong, but that was my perception.
No, they do that, actually, well, since I've been here, they've done it once. We did a small residential development on Ridge Street in Madison Heights in, I think it was 2019. And I worked out a deal whereby the service authority installed the pipe, the developer provided us easements, cleared the easements for us, and excavated the trench for us, and the EDA kicked in $20,000 toward materials to put in the pipe. So, and I'm looking at doing a similar project on Ned Brown Road in Monroe right now.
Okay, and just one more thing. Do you have the capabilities of being able to do this, a 30% initial payment, and then you would add the fees added to the regular billings? Do you have the ability to do that with your financial system?
Yes, sir. Well, whether it's in the financial system or not, we will find a way to make it work. I mean, we've got to find a way to promote economic growth here and get past these huge fees for developers so they will come here and develop. That's a procedural thing, it's not a big deal. We will find a way around that.
Okay.
If you all want to go that way.
Thank you.
That's another, you said huge fees. We don't have huge fees.
Okay. Huge fees as perceived by the development community.
Well, other localities have huge fees to them. And the purpose of the service authority and this board is to make sure that we're providing water and sewer service, right, to our customers and making sure that we can do that well into the future. If the board of supervisors and EDA see availability fees as a hindrance to encouraging economic development, then the board of supervisors and the EDA should look at a way to deal with it. We shouldn't be doing it on the service authority side. So I do not support number 3, and I will not support number 3. So, I mean, the rest of the board can choose to move that forward if they like, but I won't be supporting it.
Okay, well, keep in mind, this would be something that would go to the supervisors. So these are county ordinances that only the supervisors. Okay.
So I thought that we took care of that problem with, let's use the car wash as an example. I thought we took care of that problem with the availability fee based on the way that we were calculating the charge. So the availability fee came down significantly, correct?
Yes, sir, it did.
And I thought that we had decided to strike item 3 as a result of the recalculation efforts within the changes that would take care of, in most instances, these availability fees that were maybe
Okay,
higher.
I don't recall a decision to strike that. I
Okay.
thought we were going to come back and talk about it. But if that's something you all don't want to do, then I'll take it out. Y'all are the board. I mean, you all make a decision. My job is just to give you information and make recommendations.
Well, I have a question about how you would manage this. How do you determine what business gets to participate and which business doesn't?
Bring it to the board. You all would make that decision, not me.
So it wouldn't be a certain fee, or if it reaches this amount or anything like that? If
We
they're
can-
like, oh, I want to participate, you're going to bring every single one to the Service Authority Board?
We can do it that way. We can do it that way. If you want to set a certain limit, if you can, a certain fee, a certain percentage of the project development costs, we can do it however we want to do it.
All right, well, I've heard 3 people on this board say they didn't support item 3. And since that's the case, I would like to pull item 3. I would like to go ahead and pull item 3. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and put that in a motion that we remove item 3 from the proposed county change ordinances. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay? Any further changes, anything else you want to look at? Or everything else in that one and the other 2, good?
Give us a second and make
Sure.
sure.
And again, this is still preliminary. I'll still be coming back in June with a draft ordinance that you all will be looking at again.
So where are we with looking at requiring connections to public water and sewer for new development when the lines are in place?
That is in 15129, the second paragraph under A.
Okay.
Last sentence, I added that per your recommendation last meeting.
Got it.
Where do you see A?
Yeah.
Section 15-129, the first section is A.
I must be looking at the wrong thing.
I don't think it must not have uploaded correctly.
Let's see here.
Oh, okay, I see.
You have it?
No. So, section 120, 15-121 is definitions. And then when you go to 15-129, it's only one page and it's fourth, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's where we were talking about the availability fee.
I apologize. It was on my computer when I finished the agenda last week.
Okay.
15-131, so it's not
See, I
here.
got-
But
Point
I-
is, you're looking at it, so that's good.
Yeah, make sure that you have.
I have from 121 to 131.
You got-
And you were emailed these things a week or so ago, so you do have.
131. I don't have anything in between. I got a 121, then 131.
I just didn't download the other one.
All right, but the most important thing is it is something we're going to do. It will be brought back before us in proper form when we look at this at our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. One of the most important things, we talked about number 3 and we got rid of it, of course, but the number one thing you can do is to, when you have these developments or projects, and is to come to this board or come to the county administrator or the board of supervisors and the EDA and let them know that there is a project in particular with availability fees that are unconducive for that development. And then maybe we could work out a way or find a way to be able to pay for those availability fees through the EDA, the board, or someone, some avenue. Maybe it's a grant program, I'm not for sure. But I think that's the most important thing we can do.
Okay. And that's what we do.
All right. So are you all okay with everything that we've seen? All right. So would you like a motion or?
Yeah.
Okay, you're
There's
good.
a consensus. I'll come
we have-
back with draft ordinances.
All
at
right,
the
we
next
have,
meeting.
we have a consensus then. All right, that's all under old business. That was the last
Yes, sir.
3, so
That's it.
we'll go ahead and move on to new business, Mr. Hopkins.
Okay. The first item is the River Edge Trail Phase 3 extension. There's when that came up, what the county is doing, they're extending a trail that is, quite a bit of it's going to be within the Service Authority's easement for the Madison Heights trunk sanitary sewer. And a good bit of it, 200 or 300 feet of the trail, is going to be sitting right on top of the trail where top of the sewer, where the sewer is relatively shallow. And the soils, Hurt and Profit did a soils report. The soils are not particularly, I don't want to say unstable. They don't have a lot of strength to them. It's more granular soils as opposed to clayey type soils. So I had a lot of comments about what needed to get done to protect the sewer. And what came out of that is this agreement that a lot of it was came out of negotiations between me, the county engineer, county staff, and they were put into the plans that were approved by the county and bid and advertised and bid by the county. So what came out of all this was the need for an agreement between the Service Authority and the county, along with an escrow agreement that Mr. Popovich put together, and Mr. Lockaby and I worked together with him on that. And this has been, we've been through it, and then the contractor's lawyer went through it and sent back a lot of comments. And so, and then Mr. Popovich went back and revised it again. We've sent it back to him. We have not heard back yet. So what we'd like to do is, this is more for information right now. I just wanted to let you know this was coming because the contractor is planning on starting work May 10th. So what we need to do, if the board is amenable to doing it, is at the May 18th supervisors meeting. By then, we hope to have this agreement finalized. I'd like to also get the board to, the Service Authority Board to convene a special meeting with the supervisors to approve this. So we can get this done and the contractor doesn't have any contractual or schedule issues because he's waiting for this agreement.
Any questions for Mr. Hopkins?
Mr. Hopkins says the county shall perform post-construction monitoring of the ACSA easement. Are they cambered before and after?
Yes, they are, yeah, that's part of it. They're also, it's cameras before and after. They're also going to provide us visual inspection of the manholes before and after. And it's specified to be all done per NASCO specifications, so we should be in real good shape that way. Now, a lot of it, there was a bunch of discussion about the county, the post-construction monitoring, and that's one of the things that's being changed or was changed that the contractor's looking at right now. My intention in adding that was simply that when the county is down there, looking at the trail or whatever, I mean, it's not a formal post-construction monitoring deal. And that was one of the things the county staff came back with. They had, they thought they were going to be required to do formal post-construction monitoring and reporting forever. And that wasn't the intent of that. It was just if you're down there looking at it, you see something wrong, let the service authority know that we've got to go out and fix something. And if we're down there and see something wrong about the trail, we'll let county staff know. So that's really what that is all about.
All right, anything else? I would just tell y'all to make note that you need to be here on 5/18 to convene for that during the Board of Supervisors meeting. So,
And if for whatever reason the contract, we don't get the agreement done by then, then I will let you all know, and we'll just have to do it another time, maybe at the June 1st meeting. But right now, I'm hoping like heck we can get it done by May 18th because, again, the contractor's starting work May 10th, and he's already asking questions about, well, what's that going to do to my contract? What about my schedule? And the next question is going to be change orders, and we don't want to be going into change orders over something like this.
so when will you know this? When will you know that this is a definite, that we have to be here on 5/18? Because you
Right
said
now,
it may change.
I don't know.
Okay.
We've sent it back to the contractor. He's getting with his attorney. We're waiting to hear back.
Okay.
So why can we, I'm sorry, Attorney, why can we not authorize you to enter into that agreement now?
Because there might be more changes to it, and if the contractor comes back with stuff that you all may not like, I would rather you all see the final document before we proceed. Now, more than likely, with Mr. Popovich and Mr. Lockaby and I all working on it, it should be fine, but at the same time, I would hate for us to get a carte blanche to do it now, and we do it, and then you all see a change document later, and you all have problems with it.
Do we need to decide to have a special meeting? If so, I think we should just go ahead and authorize Mr. Hopkins to initiate the special meeting for whatever time. He can always cancel it. And then get the notices ready, do whatever he needs to do. We just assume it happens unless it's canceled.
That'll work.
I'll give you my opinion. Okay. You're the executive director, you've got an engineering background, you know how to protect the interest of the service authority. I have full confidence in you working out the agreement. I mean, you can give it to us. I'm not sure we're all going to understand 100% of what's in it. I'm comfortable with giving you the authority to sign it, protects the service authority's interest.
Okay. That's your call. If the board
Yeah.
agrees with that, I'm fine with that too.
I'm fine with that.
Not to put the supervisors on the spot, but would the supervisors do the same thing for Mr. Rogers?
I would, but can't speak for the board. I mean, we know we got to keep the sewer line intact. We know we want to get the trail in. We want our administrators to go forth and make that happen. All right? And work together to make it happen. That's-
Well, if memory serves, this is also coming up to the supervisors meeting at 3 o'clock. So I guess what we need is a motion to authorize me to sign.
So moved.
I don't know why not.
Okay.
I mean, and we have a material, a good working document.
So,
I would make a motion to give the director authority to sign off on the ACSA and Amherst County agreement for River Edge Trail Phase 3A extension.
we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Wesley Woods. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your confidence. The next item is the Westfale Quartz Sanitary Sewer Extension. And if you look at, there's a map in there that shows the proposed alteration. Hopefully you've got that attachment. But it shows the proposed change to the sewer alignment, which would save a ton of money. And then there's the draft agreement that was prepared by Mr. Lockaby and myself, and is presented for your all's authorization for me to execute. The developer has already reviewed it. He's okay with it.
Did y'all get a map?
I got a map in old business. Was that the one?
Should show a bunch of townhomes.
They can get a map in the.
I don't have a map neither under the, under new business. I think we've only got an agreement and,
Is that under old?
Yeah, I didn't get a map, and I was a little confused about this. So the way I read the agreement, so there's going to be existing structures
That's not the right street.
that this line will go by that aren't going to connect to the new sewer, that are owned by the same developer. Is that true?
I think one building. It's going to go by one building that has a drain field that is still viable. Then it's going to go through an empty lot. Then it goes to the lot with the building on it that the developer's having specific problems with, that he needs a sewer extension for. That's got 4 units in it. And I talked him into agreeing to extending the sewer to the next lot, which has 10 units on it. So with this extension, we'll be getting 14 immediate connections, along with him providing easements for sewer, future extensions, so that any buildings that are in existence right now with drain fields, the drain fields go bad, they have to connect to public sewer. And any future buildings that don't exist right now cannot be put on drain fields. They have to connect to our sewer.
Yeah, maybe, okay.
I
So
think
does
that's
he
what.
own the building that's still on the drain field?
Yes, he owns all of them. He
Okay.
owns all these buildings.
Yeah, maybe I misunderstood. I thought all of them were coming online, but, okay.
I thought that was a comment made by the gentleman, right? He came here and spoke to us?
I'm sorry?
He came here and spoke to us, correct?
Yes.
I thought he said all of his buildings would be connected.
And they will eventually, but not right away. I mean, right now, all we're looking is the sewer extension we're talking about would only go to these 3 buildings. He has actually, I think, another 6 buildings out there that future sewer extensions will go to.
You finish. So the building that, or the house that's getting passed by on the sewer, I don't see a drawing here. Would that, it's going to get a service ladder and clean out extended to it?
Either now or later. I mean, whenever the drain field goes bad. But we hesitate to put the sewer connections in before the developers are ready to use them, because we've got the term midnight connections, where people go out there and just connect on their own, and we never find out about it, and then we're out revenue. So we tend to shy away from putting in these connections before they're actually ready to be connected to and used.
So it must be
good practice.
out from underneath the street. It's not,
Oh, it's all
Yes,
in a
behind the
grassy
building.
area.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
so that's easy to do.
So will he be responsible for fees at that point in time?
He's willing, excuse me, he's going to pay a portion of the fees up front to pay for the engineering services. It's about $11,500. And then when the actual connection is made, he will pay the remainder of the fees.
I guess the building that's being passed by, when you go to connect to the sewer, he will have a fee for that as well, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Initial connection fee.
All right. Does the board have any more questions regarding the agreement? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the ACSA Board authorize ACSA Executive Director to execute an advance agreement regarding a sanitary sewer extension in the area of Westfale Court and northern Massachusetts.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Perro. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Next item, I alluded to this a few minutes ago, is the 2021 Utility Rates and Fees Benchmarking Study. It's, again, been provided for your all's information, and don't necessarily need questions or comments right now. sent it to you last Saturday. I wanted to make sure you at least had a little bit of time to look it over in case you wanted to come in with questions and comments for this meeting. But we can always entertain questions and comments at future meetings. It has been forwarded to our financial consultants, Davenport and Company, for their use in preparing the cash pro forma update for this fall, and rates and fees adjustments that would be recommended at that time.
Any questions?
Got a philosophical comment on rates and fees in general. The benchmarking study is a good tool. It lets you know where you stand compared to the market. But I strongly believe that our rates and fees should be based upon our priorities going forward over the next 10 years. So if we know that we've got some major projects coming along, we're going to have to bond for them. I know Davenport helps you with this. But the long-term, the capital improvement plan, where do we need to be? How are we going to get there? And then you set your fees accordingly. And then you escalate your fees if you need to in accordance with that also. So one thing that citizens cannot stand is abrupt fee changes. But if you can do a slow change over time that still gets you where you need to go, then that's a much easier approach. Also predictability for businesses so that they know year over year where their fees are going to go. It helps them predict their business situation. So the benchmarking is good to let you know whether you're in a proper parameter. But I think we should avoid looking at the benchmark first. I'd like to see project where we're going first and then compare that to the benchmark second. And then make a decision based upon that.
Okay, well, just, the Davenport does look at our future major capital projects. I mean, we've been doing this since about 2013 or 14, if I remember correctly. And the rates adjustments and fee adjustments have been set every year based on the $10 to $15 million that we've got to spend for these big projects over the next few years. Now, one of the things we've got to be careful of, again, and we've talked about this in the past, is it's great to look and say that this is where we want to be. We want to replace 32 lines, water and sewer lines over the next 2 years. But we've got to be real careful and keep in mind that we've got a very high proportion of low and fixed income customers, Old Town and other areas that would have a lot of problem with adjusting to the kind of rates and fees adjustments that would accommodate that. So, we as I put in the report, we have to walk a very fine line of making sure we've got rates and fees that our customers can handle, and at the same time do all the work that we need to do. And we think we do that. We've been doing it for many years, and we think we do a pretty good job of it.
And what you're saying is absolutely correct. I just believe in looking forward as much as we can. I feel like sometimes at this board we tend to focus in the now. And I'd like to be looking forward as far as we can, and then try to make decisions along the way that'll help us position ourselves to where we'd like to be in the future, to be a good, low-cost service for our community, and to avoid sudden snaps or instances that may cause us to have to spend a lot of money at a certain time that would cause rates to go up unavoidably. So how do we best avoid that? And that's through good forward planning. And I would like to see this board a little bit more involved with the long-term capital planning. Presentation, at least an annual presentation about what's coming up, how it's going to go, what the priorities are.
Okay.
And then that way we can weigh in on that a little bit, and we can see what's driving the fees. And then we do our best to make sure that the citizens, that they're affordable to all our citizens.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I agree with everything that's said, but I will say that I'm a paying customer, and that was one of the reasons I advocated for having paying customers on this board, is because they're the ones that pay the fees. We can make decisions, but if you're not paying the fees, you don't feel the hurt. So that's the way I look at it. I was glad we were able to get a few people on the board that do pay the fees. So it is a balancing act. It definitely is. But I appreciate both of you. All right, what else do you got? The miscellaneous matters under new business?
Yes, sir, that's the last one. Item number one, the loan closed on the 2017 BB&T loan refinancing, closed on April 16th. So that's done. The I heard from the Department of Health a few weeks ago that we're getting our 9th consecutive Waterworks Performance Excellence Award. It's an annual award that we get for meeting certain parameters regarding waterworks, the treatment plant operations, the water quality, and the way the waterworks operates. And this year is going to be, typically we get a bronze award, but for 2020, we're actually getting a silver award. It's only the second time we've ever gotten that. So, as part of that, I drafted a, I don't have the actual letter and award yet. I should have that soon. I'm planning on reproducing the certificate on the front of the 2020 Consumer Confidence Report. But I'm looking for a board authorization for the board chair to join me in signing the letter of commendation to staff.
Mr. Pugh, I'll make a motion that the Service Authority Board authorize the chair and director to sign the staff commendation letter regarding achievement of a 2020 Silver Waterworks Performance Excellence Award from the Virginia Department of Health, and that the board authorize the chair and director to sign a letter of appreciation for staff.
Motion on the floor by Ms. Moore. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item is Drinking Water Week, which is designated by the American Water Works Association. We're in the middle of it right now. It's May 2nd to May 8th. I was contacted by, trying to remember what her actual position is with the city of Lynchburg, but she was putting together a joint press release, and she asked if the Service Authority, Bedford Regional Water Authority, and Kimball County Utilities and Service Authority join in doing a joint press release, which we did. That was provided to the county's PIO Monday. And that is, I think it's already been released. I'd have to talk to Joy to be sure. But similarly to number 2, I'm looking for authorization for the board chair to sign a letter of appreciation for staff regarding Drinking Water Week.
I'll just combine those two motions into one.
Good job.
Well,
Efficient. All right. So, is that all, Mr. Hopkins, or is there
Nope, a
one?
couple more things. Next one is we have an audit, a safety audit coming up from the Virginia Occupational Safety and Health Department. That's going to be on June 10th. June 10th? 8th or 10th, I don't remember now. But they're going to come out and do a safety inspection, audit, and look at our policies and see where we're lacking, where we might be able to improve on certain things. VACORs, we have, like the county does, our insurer is VACOR, and they have a safety compliance officer or something like that. He came out a couple weeks ago at the request of the treatment manager and gave us, you want to comment on that, Dale, at all?
We had an audit on it, I forget what they were with now, but he came out and we already know, gave us a good bill of health, now we got kosher. That's gonna be a different area, but then I'll look to everything we find.
We've also gotten clean bills of health, safety equipment-wise anyway, from the Department of Health in our annual sanitary surveys, and I'm waiting for a revised report from the safety consultant that came in on March 25th and did a safety audit at the water treatment plant and at Dennis Williams Run Pump Station.
So you're still waiting on that?
Waiting on that. We got it, and we looked at it, senior staff looked at it, and there were some confusing things about it that didn't make any sense. Like in one section, he starts it off by saying that the Williams Run Pump Station it cannot be considered a confined space. Then later on in the same section, he says for Williams Run to comply with permit required confined space requirements, you need to do this, this, and this. And then a couple other statements for confined space requirement at the pump station, you need to do this, this, and this. So I called him and said, Tim, this makes no sense. First you're telling me it's not a confined space, now you're telling me that we got to do this for confined space requirements. He said, you're right, that doesn't make any sense. So that and some other things, he's supposed to be editing the report and getting me another copy, an updated copy, which I was hoping to have it by today, but I don't have it yet. So hopefully we'll have it for the June 1st meeting.
All right, any questions? Well, sounds like you all doing your due diligence and getting the items inspected that could possibly, potentially be problems. So we look forward to those reports when they come.
Yes, sir. We haven't had a recordable injury in 20 years? Is that right? At least 20 years. So obviously, we're doing things right, and now there's a situation where there's always ways to improve, there's always ways to make a formal, a non-written policy, make it more of a written policy, and make sure we've got things coordinated better, and that's what we're going to do with VOSH.
So, Mr. Hopkins, I appreciate every bit of that, but I'm thankful that there hasn't been a reportable event in so many years, but you never know when you could have one. So you've got to keep safety on the forefront, because as it was put forward to me by another entity, it's not just the safety of our employees, but it really means a tremendous amount to their families as well.
Sure.
That's who you're really caring for. It's the greater employee base with the families and so forth. And we owe it to our employees to make sure they're in a safe environment. Yes, sometimes that stuff is a pain in the tail, but if we can make sure that our employees are safe, it's better for all of us. Congratulations, you've done a great job. It sounds like, let's make sure that we get these audits taken care of.
Yes, sir. And lost my train of thought. Oh, the VOSH audit is not just an audit. I've actually enrolled us in what they call their consultation program. So what they're going to come in, and they're going to start at the water plant, but they're going to do multiple audits, safety audits at each of our major facilities, help us with our safety policies, help us write any that we don't have, follow up with anything that with us that we need to address right away, and then come back in every year and do it again, and help us keep our plan updated every 5 years. So we're doing that, and that's their bottom line policy. There's also their bottom program. We can progress to, I think it's called their merit program, and then their star program, and so we're going to aspire to all those things. And the last thing I've got is just a notice about the Service Authority's leachate disposal station in Madison Heights. We have to close that. And that's at the request of the city of Lynchburg, and which is coming from the Department of Health. We have a wastewater disposal contract with Lynchburg. That's why they feel they've got the clout to come back and ask us to do that. But what these new requirements from VDH are right now, all we've got is it's essentially a manhole down at the softball fields. And the county would run their tanker truck down there, open it up, connect it, drain it, and be good to go. But one of the things we've seen is that the contractor was on a regular basis leaving his hoses there. We've confiscated, I don't know how many of their hoses. And we kept, I've gotten 3 of them myself. And I kept thinking that they look like they're fairly expensive, and maybe that would stop him from leaving them laying around for other people to maybe get sick or whatever, and it hasn't done it. But what the health department wants us to do, if we're going to keep it open, we have to put a safety fence requirement and signage around it. We've got to extend a water line to it so people can wash their hands, wash their trucks. We would, because of the water, we'd also have to find a way to collect that water, connect that down into the sewer. Let's say it's got to be manned whenever it's being used. It's got to be monitored and cleaned on a daily basis. It was going to cost a fortune. And when I brought it up at the county staff meeting a couple weeks ago, the public works director said, "Well, don't worry about it. We stopped using it at the end of 2020 anyway. We're trucking it directly to Lynchburg." So we're going to put a padlock on it. That's going to be the end of it. I just wanted to let you all know in case questions come up.
Are you going to periodically check it? Make sure the padlock's still there?
Oh, sure. We're down there all the time. So, and that's all I've got, unless you all have anything for me.
All right, appreciate it. So we're on to members for matters of the board. Mr. Woods?
Nothing.
Mr. Para?
Just very quickly, I saw in the meeting minutes from the last meeting that we are now going to become members of the Virginia Municipal Drinking Water Association, the new entity, and I think that's great.
Okay, well, it hasn't been, I mean, I've proposed that, the board hasn't actually come back, and Mr. Martin, you may give me carte blanche on that also, but it's it's a rather, it's not substantial, it's a couple $1,000 membership fee to us, same as with the other two we belong to, but these organizations are critical to what we do. We've gotten such good stuff out of these organizations for so long that I really think we need to do it. I'll be attending the next kickoff meeting that's coming up, I think this month, and I'll report back later.
Do you have the money in your budget?
Plenty of money.
That's what the note said in the minutes, anyway.
I'd make a motion you join the, what is it?
Vim Droit.
It's the Virginia Municipal Drinking Water Association.
Yeah, I make a motion that we join that.
All right, you hear the motion on the floor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I'll get it taken care of.
Ms. Moore,
I have nothing.
Mr. Martin,
No, sir.
and I have nothing. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Gavel.